Silrow was as good as his word. He welcomed the rabbits, proud to offer Winter's Edge as a new home for as long as they wished. Gray Ears thanked the warden for his hospitality, but the droop of his ears and whiskers told Arlo there was a great weight on the rabbit's mind. The ranger could not contain his anger. The Darkwings had taken the warren, the rabbit's ancestral home. He could not rest here while they spread their filth there. The warden swore they'd reclaim it together. The ranger was fueled by his fury, barely pausing on their journey for food or rest. Arlo thought it almost matched his own. What once was a small village was now a foul Darkwing base, with all they needed to launch attacks all across the north. Warden and the ranger fought tooth and paw, bow and blade, to drive back the bat filth. Had sent one of his strongest generals, Necromancer Guraz. His defeat would rob the bats of a great weapon. The warren was safe in rabbit paws once more. Gray Ears swore that if the Warden of the Wastes ever called for help, the rabbits would answer. Winter's Edge, the rabbits celebrated that their homes were safe once more. They longed to feel the crunch of snow under paw. Despite all Arlo had done, the Darkwing threat was still growing. The North was running out of time. He told Leaf to call the War Council. Tomorrow they would make their plan. Arlo could not sleep a whisker. He wished more than anything that his father were here to tell him what to do. The nervous chatter silenced at Arlo's entrance. He did not sweeten the truth. The Darkwing numbers grew. They would return, and Winter's Edge could not stop them alone. He called Robin forward. Arlo was raised on tales of how the North could not rely on Southern kings. But he was desperate. The Ranger was sure King Redgi would prove different. Ordering the council to prepare for war, they set course for the Crimson Keep. The Crimson Keep's dock was the greatest Arlo had seen. Robin explained it was built by master craftsmoles. He laughed, telling Arlo how ratfolk believed their king paid them by fighting huge warrior moles in an underground arena. The King card. A rare card indeed. Although rare, its qualities are not always positive. The Smith card. Highly sought after for its ability to change the qualities of other cards. The King's steward, Doug, stopped them before the throne room. He started at the news of war, and then rushed away, muttering about how the armor would need to be polished. Dennis, the King's brother, was also curious to see this northerner. Dennis missed war. He could plainly see by Arlo's expression that was the Warden's task. He hoped they could fight together someday. Arlo was nervous to meet this king. He hoped Redgi lived up to all he'd heard from Robin. He did not have to wait long. King Redgi was glad to see his old friend Robin was safe, and bid him to tell his tale. Robin told of the death of his son by the ferocious Darkwings, and begged the king prepare his forces to go north. Redgi was sad at the loss of Little John, but said that was not reason enough for the South to join a northern war. The king wished them well and turned to go. Arlo stepped forward, asking what the king would do when there was no Winter's Edge to shield the South. If they sent no help now, the Darkwings would not stop at their borders. Redgi listened to Arlo tell his tale. It brought back terrible memories of a father lost and a land left in ruin. A tale not unlike this young warden's. He held out his paw in friendship. King and warden, united, could stop any foe. The southern ratfolk would not simply leave the warmth of their homes for frozen lands they had never seen. A trial by combat would prove his worth. Arlo agreed. He would do whatever it took. News had spread swiftly. As Redgi led them to the tournament grounds, the streets were already full. Villagers craned their necks to see their warrior king and this strange northern challenger. Doug was an unlikely opponent for the first round. His small stature made it hard for him to wield a sword. But when it came to fighting for his king, Doug stood 10 paws tall. No match for Arlo's superior skill. Redgi could already see this would be a tournament that they would speak of through the ages. Dennis, veteran of the Green Ward's War and captain of the Royal Guard, would be a true challenge for Arlo. The crowd's cheers for the king's brother echoed off the arena walls. Was a veteran too, used to fighting monsters and darkwings with ice under paw. Dennis did not compare. Now the crowd cheered for him. Arlo's final opponent was the king himself. Redgi had seen off the frog invaders almost single-pawed and was beloved by his subjects. This fight would be a tale for their times. In stature and skill, there was not a whisker between them. They shook paws in truce. No rat could doubt Arlo's worth now. Redgi said to meet him by the docks. Together, they would wipe out the Dark Wings once and for all. Together, they would attack Mount Cauldron. Seeing the king's forces training for battle, Arlo felt the stirrings of something he'd long thought dead in his heart. Hope. At the dock, Arlo's little heart leapt again at the strange contraption. If it was a boat or a house, he could not tell, nor why it had a giant sleeping fuzzlebug atop it. From inside emerged King Redgi. He was not alone. King Redgi introduced Burtle. Arlo felt something comforting in the turtle's presence. Burtle was proud to take the army to Mount Cauldron in his bug ship. They would make camp at Highland View, where Arlo could find them when his forces were ready. In a flap of its wings and a cloud of gas, the fuzzlebug took King Redgi and his army north. Whatever tasks Arlo had to finish, now was the time. Once the war began, there would be... The farm's troubles, however, were far from over. Now the farmers were under attack by a giant winged beast. The elder begged for the warden's help once more. The field was too empty. Arlo followed a familiar scent. Blood. The body of the farmer missed him by a whisker. The winged beast was coming for him. The beast was injured, but Arlo could see its trail of smoke. At its end, he could finish what he started. The beast had another farmer lifeless in its talons. This would be its last. It had fled again, seeking its nest. It would not have long to recover, as the warden was soon on its tail. Nestled among the eggs in the bird's nest was a farmer, and still alive. No doubt meant as a snack for the hatchlings. The farmer was free, and Arlo sent him home. He would not be these chicks' first meal. Winter's Edge, Arlo told Leaf to gather all the clans. Tomorrow, they would make their war. Arlo went to bed, for once without despair. The king and the warden's forces together would make a last stand. They would sing of it forever. He wondered what sort of tale it would be. The clan's leaders listened to the warden and king's plan. They were nervous of this flying contraption, but their fear was as nothing compared to their iron will. They would take the mountain, the Sky Scorcher, and Count Kazak himself. Raising their weapons in salute, Arlo was glad to see his friends united, though the feeling was bittersweet. It seemed impossible all would return. King Redgi's camp had creatures of every clan, armed and ready to fight. At its heart, Burtle waited. Arlo felt again the sense of safety at the turtle, and took it as a good omen. Burtle bellowed the order, and they felt the ground fall away. The ship lurched, as did the soldiers' stomachs. They held their nerve. Against the bats, they would need it. They landed with a thud. Arlo loved mountains, or had loved the thought of them in the great tales of far away. But this one he did not like at all. Its icy wind chilled more than his fur. They made hasty camp, readying themselves for the fight. Keeping busy stopped the frost from biting. So it began. Side by side, the king and the warden hacked a path through the bats to the walls of Cauldron Castle. The way was shut, barred and guarded. Leathery wings beat all around. If they could not open the gate, it would be all for nothing. Redgi sounded his horn. Out of the icy haze came Dennis, a barrel on his back, its fuse lit. The king had come prepared. gate was shattered with a boom that echoed across the mountainside. It was a hammer blow to their enemies' hearts. Inside the castle, they found themselves in the chef's store. Before they could be disgusted at the contents, they had to take care of the chef. They moved in step, a flawless dance of blood and vengeance. Neither knew that their own blood united them, but perhaps, just then, they felt it.